Alright, time to rent our expensive as fuck capsule. For no reason other than to see if it does anything. What would we find? Sleeper. Peek is waiting for you in the corridor. It's time. Peek looks pale and disheveled, with heavy marks under their eyes and strands of hair sticking to their face. I'm ready. Peek holds up a thumbnail-sized drive. All the data I have compiled on the Flux event. Next to the wave, structures that hide within it, it's on here. You look at the tiny drive. A casket of dark secrets. I've annotated it to the best of my ability. Anyone should be able to understand the threat, the potential in this. Peek sighs. It makes for grim reading. Without intervention, the Eye will suffer a cascading collapse of systems, just like the colonies of Ember's moon. Intervention? Peek grimaces. That I'm still working on. Peek looks at the drive. This shadow in the flux, this protocol, it's so hard to pin down. It adapts to any countermeasures I've tried to deploy, like trying to hold water in a cage. It slips right through. There has to be a way. Peek closes their hand around the drive. Need help, Sleeper? This is about everyone on this station. We have to set up a meeting. Tell someone who can do something about all this. Soul? Perhaps. Peek pauses. Maybe the flotilla will have a better chance of survival. They have the data. But what about the Eye? Will they protect it? Perhaps. Peek adds thoughtfully. We're thinking about this all wrong. Peek's eyes glint. Why make a choice when we can tell both of them? Why pick a side when the only side in this entire thing is one we all need to take? Peek speaks as they think, their words barely keeping pace with their thoughts. We need to resist this together, or we will fail. We need everyone on board, Sleeper. Peek smiles. That is the only way. We send the data to both. Exactly! Community together strong. Especially because we're facing the threat of extinction. At least for, like, our effective communities. Peek smiles. I'm glad you see it too. They look away. Another Flux event is coming. I'm sure of it. I'm not sure we can survive without help. Peek opens their hand and holds the drive out for you to take. You need to do this, Sleeper. I can't. You know Soul. You know Helene. They trust you. To them, I'm just another spacer. But you are part of this place. Hearing someone else say it hits you hard. You are part of the Eye. Peek is right. But right now, that feels more like a weakness than a strength. I've set up a data relay at the cordon. It's neutral ground. Take the data and send it out to Havenage and the flotilla. Once they receive it, they will come. We can be sure of that. You'll meet them there. Take them through it all. No one can do a better job. Tuck a strand of hair behind their ear. Come with me. Peek pauses. I can't. It only draws suspicion on you. Havenage wants nothing to do with us, and Soul is paranoid at best. Peek tentatively puts their hand on your shoulder. Thank you, Sleeper. I know this is hard, but we have to move forward. We can't keep this to ourselves anymore. They step back, looking thin and pale in the harsh station light. Come talk to me once it's done. They slip away into the Eye. Now, one thing I'm wondering, I feel like, I know the second arc was a lot of stuff with the flotilla to get their trust, I feel like Helene is a little bit shoehorned in, especially as she's part of the Eye's governance. I've done most all of the Eye events, so unless I almost said Yongbon again. I keep wanting to say Yongbon. The Yodigan, unless this Yodigan arc, which I've kind of left dangling, somehow gets into the organization of the Eye. I feel like there should have been some more stuff in the second arc of this event to kind of like maybe calm down the discussion people, or just like interact with Helene in general. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Harvesting mushrooms, harvesting mushrooms. I'm gonna harvest so many mushrooms. Delicious. I'm gonna plant so many mushrooms. Gonna plant all the mushrooms. I am planting so many mushrooms, and we're gonna grow some more. Well, I mean, they introduced Helene in the first arc, which was a new character, but like, we see her like twice. We don't really get an interaction with her. We don't get more of her side of things than the Eye's government thing fleshed out in the second arc. The second arc was like all the colony ships. And so it kind of feels like disproportionate, kind of weird. We'll see how things pick up in this third arc though. Taking a sip of delicious root beer. Taking a break from the caffeine in this final hour. All right. After this, okay. Oh, so this is explicitly saying this is the point of no return. Well, Eat the Kipti. Eat our capsule. I wonder if eventually something else will happen with the cats. Like if we feed them like a few hundred credits, something will happen. Maybe I should look at the Yodigan stuff. Nice. End the cycle. Didn't realize that was like game ends. Let's see, we can't do anything with caster. Let's use our big ones with here. It gives us scrap components, which we can use to repair ourselves. Reroll dice. Nice. Also, we can get free energy off engage actions. I don't know, the only French person that seems French was Peter with the colonists and talking about that other planet they shipped stuff to. As you say your goodbyes to the other enforcers and walk back to the low end, the chirruping catches your attention. A quiet corridor, away from the main thoroughfares. Someone has stuck a small recorder to the wall with a suit sealant tape. Written across the fluorescent tape is one word: sleeper. Peel it away from the wall, and as you do, it triggers some kind of improvised trip switch. Sleeper. Sabine's voice crackles through. I've seen you with the Yadigan members. Are they holding you captive now too? A high whine. I am sorry if I have dragged you into this. Do not trust them. Something is happening within the gang. Some kind of power struggle. You cover the speaker a little, her voice too loud in the quiet corridor. I will come soon. Thanks to your efforts, I have located most of their properties. The right time. A pause. I will see you soon. Don't give up. Remember our deal. The recording cuts out. You stare at the recorder, processing what you've just heard. Hearing Sabine's voice again opens up something inside of you. An S&ARP employee. Do they know that I know? You struggle with a mix of concern and distrust. You throw the recorder in a nearby waste chute as you leave the corridor. Feel unsure who to trust. Head quietly out to the low end. Alright, let's go ahead and buy some scrap. Nice. Cool beans. Alright, I want to use some scrap to repair myself. I don't know if it's going to be one scrap is one condition. Actually, I'll wait until the next one and see how much I get per scrap. Because we have tons of scrap. And if I can repair my condition off of it, that'd be pretty nice. Okay, back to Rabia's. Not a bad re-roll. This one. Ow. Alright, next cycle we should be good. How is our mushrooms? 2 more cycles for that. Okay. Eat the cat skin, and then we go to sleep. Okay, now what happens if we try to repair ourselves with scrap components? 1. It does look like it's 1. No problem. Look for ourselves. 3 energy. Holy shit. I didn't think they were that delicious. God dang. Okay, so this should finish the Yada gun. This time you meet inside Rabia's office. Although now that you've seen it, the office seems like the wrong term. You find her stood in an almost bare, shadowy unit, midway through a sequence of stretches. There are 2 low stools and a terminal in the corridor. It seems that most of the space is taken up by a heavy punching bag, rubber matting, and a stack of weights. When Rabia turns to greet you, you realize she's missing an arm. The prosthetic she usually wears is set in a cradle near the terminal, a web of colored wires running to it. Updates. she says, noticing you looking where her artificial arm usually is. Nothing to worry yourself with. Of course. Sit, says Rabaya, gesturing to the two diminutive stools. You both settle on top of the stools, Rabaya crossing her legs on top and sitting straight backed. Gia told me you have been doing the rounds, collecting tithes, patrolling the ward. She smiles. So the enforcers are impressed. And I hear you handled a few difficult circumstances. Nicely done. I wanted to see for myself. He raises an eyebrow. See for yourself. If the stories are true. I see. Rabaya flexes her neck side to side. And the conclusion? Still deciding. Well, Sleeper, Rabaya says teasingly, please keep us updated on any progress. She smiles a thin smile. Joking aside, I know that for you, life on the Eye has been a struggle. But I hope we can do something about that from here onwards. Though some of our members may not see it this way, I know you too are a refugee. He looks at you solemnly. That is why you have come to us. Enough, Rabaya. Sabine's voice cuts through the conversation. I'm tired of listening to your affected nobility. They cross the room, Rabaya's baton in hand, the end lit with sparking electricity. Rabaya looks between the two of you. I suppose this ambush was another cooperation between you two? He looks strangely unfazed. No, you're acting alone. Sabine pauses, thrown off for a moment by your renunciation. Rabaya takes this as an opportunity to act. She leaps from the stool, and fainting past Sabine, grabs the baton and twists it inwards. She is by far the stronger, and she pushes Sabine to their knees, plunging the crackling end of the baton towards their chest. They freeze there, Sabine struggling to keep the crackling baton from their skin. Wait, no, that's not what I meant. Then you support them? Rabaya asks you, her eyes not leaving Sabine. Your loyalties are so easily swayed. I thought you were more than Yannick's attack dog, Rabaya. Sabine spits back. You're not able to think for yourself? Rabaya holds the baton strong, and for a moment, you think she's about to hammer it down onto Sabine's chest. But, after a painful wait, she throws Sabine down instead, spins the baton in her hand, thumbing a switch and shutting it off in a single move. Why explain? They both look at you, each still catching their breath, as if they had forgotten about your presence. Explain what? How the moment I call my enforcers will come down here and take them away? Rabaya cracks her neck. You're lucky I didn't kill you. I would have had every right. Every right! She shouts. The anger or release of tension more than a threat. Sabine lifts themselves a little, bruised from the fall. They roll onto their side and cough. Rabaya gives them some space, sitting back on the stool. Sabine props themselves up on elbows and fixes Rabaya with a hard stare. You have something to say? Rabaya taunts. Say it. This is your final opportunity. Because after this... She laughs. No coming back. What's the point? Sabine breathes heavily. She refuses to listen to criticism of the great Yadigan project. Rabaya collects herself. Speak. She folds her arms and waits to be convinced. Sabine takes a breath, organizing their thoughts. They go to start, pause, and decide on another approach. Eventually, they say it. Yannick is a traitor. Rabaya immediately flinches, her eyes going to her prosthetic arm, her muscles clenching. She rides it out, more eager to prove Sabine wrong than she is to hurt them, at least for now. When I came here from Essenarp, they glance at you, gauging your reaction. It was Yannick who was the first to support me, to look after me. Should have known then, but I was naive and afraid. Sabine turns to you. Sleeper. Then take a breath. I know that I should have told you I worked at SNARP long ago, but I thought you would abandon me. You are my final friend. What you know is that I left SNARP because I was running for my life. I leaked documents on the Sleeper program, on the illegal and immoral practices it relied on for the press. SNARP wanted me dead, and I fled as far as I could to this refuge at the edge of the surrogate systems. Sabine stops to collect himself. What does this have to do with Yannick? Rabiah interrupts. The Sleeper knows you're SNARP. I told them. While you hide beneath the cover of being a whistleblower, you and I both know you worked on the Sleeper program. Yannick told me as much. Sabine's face falls. It is true. They glance at you, and then away, ashamed. They lift their head. It is Yannick, not me, who is in the pocket of SNARP. Rabiah flinches again. I can prove it. He made some kind of deal to keep me here. Tie me up in debt, lock me away. In exchange... Rabiah slams her hand on the desk. Just tell us, for God's sake! In exchange for those... Sabine finishes, nodding towards Rabiah's prosthetic arm in its cradle. He's been using Vatican enforcers, using you as test subjects for SNR technology. I have the data to prove it. He's been bringing them in under the guise of stolen shipments and having me fit them, knowing each one is capturing data and sending it back to its makers. Rabiah's fixed expression has started to fade. Sabine pursues the slate. It's all here. Thousands of hours of usage data, failure rates, error dumps. These are untested implants, Rabiah. They could short out, fail, cause cascading failures across a person's body. And they have. Sabine suddenly looks incredibly tired. I thought the error rate in the units was down to them being stolen or modified. I've tried to fix hundreds of failures in my time here. Not all of them. They stop, unable to continue. Rabiah closes her eyes and breathes in. Then she opens them again. He holds out a hand to Sabine. Show me, he says. Later, much later, when you leave, Sabine is still taking Rabiah through the manifests, usage data, both of them crowded around the terminal as Sabine leads Rabiah through each layer of Yannick's betrayal. As you leave, Sabine catches your eye. Something passes between you. Something like a thank you or a sorry. Some other expression that communicates both sadness and hope. I guess I can get +1 in something? I have +1 in everything already. Damn. We've got a lot of drives. I know I missed at least 2 from pissing off the repair guy we were initially with. There was something with the bar guy that I ignored. Well, nothing to do but go into the end game, chat. Time to go to the final episode. With the data sent, the only thing to do is wait. As you imagine, Helene receiving the data, perhaps in the middle of some Habitage Council meeting, you think of her trembling hands as she slips out of the room to read it. Her reaction, you can't predict. You imagine Soul, too. One of his crew finding him in some corner of the Pilgrim Seed, overseeing the modifications that will turn it into an ark. Those sharp eyes scanning the data, looking for a way to proceed. The wait draws out. Past the time, you watch the activity beyond the edge of the eye. Scrap shuttles pulling components from the now abandoned cordon, and the supply skiffs making runs between the flotilla ships. It isn't long before you hear the chirping of one of Helene's now familiar drones approaching the viewing platform, and then Helene herself strides into the room. Where did you get this, sleeper? Helene holds up a slate, scrolling with streams of flux data as she enters. I need to know your sorts. Hello to you too. And bring me here for a reunion, I assume? Helene smiles a thin smile. You'll forgive me for skipping the pleasantries. She pauses and pushes her hair back out of her face. There's a lot to take in. A shadow protocol inside the flux? The system's con channel starting up? The total collapse of the eye? She rubs her forehead. I bring this to the council, they'll... She turns away. They'll believe you. She laughs. You know what's been happening within Havenage, sleeper? She looks away, out at the flotilla. Since the refugee ships started arriving, things have changed. It's chaos. No one can settle on a single issue. There's a division at every vote, but in the division, only one group prospers. The hardliners. As each counselor gets tired of the arguments, tired of the compromise, become more attracted to the easy answers. That's okay, we just space them all. Flotilla is to blame. Refugees are opportunists. The eye must be defended. She shakes her head. Now you're telling me they brought something to the eye that will cause the collapse? This conversation with Helene sure is familiar. Yeah, boy howdy, isn't it nice that this is just a video game and has no real life parallels at all whatsoever? They didn't bring it. Doesn't matter, sleeper. That's all the counselors will hear. She closes her eyes, a hand to her temple. Many of them already presume that the refugees are somehow to blame. Somebody say refugees? Soul clinks to the docking bay, grinning at the situation. Speak of the devil, and well, here I am. His suit hisses as he settles on his cane. Why does he have a bunch of snakes in his suit? That seems inefficient. Celine glances between the two of you, uncertain if she has been drawn into some elaborate plan. Soul holds out a hand to her. Soul, he nods. I believe we have spoken remotely while the cordon was still up. There is no real-life equivalent to xenophobia, nationalism, or capitalism in real life. Exactly. I, for one, am glad that we live in our fully automated luxury gay space communism society. We are all allies here. Soul raises an eyebrow. That seems a little presumptuous, doesn't it? I trust you, sleeper. Havenage have been the ones seeking to hold us without charge or good reason. My beloved. Yeah. One place I don't know. They're working on that, Void. They're working on that. Not Havenage, Liam blurts out, then corrects herself. What I mean is to say, no one person represents Havenage. It's the idea. I did not support the cordon and did not support your quarantine. Soul nods. Well then, Soul glances at you. Anyone mind if I get myself up to speed here? He pauses, but you get the feeling he isn't expecting an answer. 1. The flux events, very same destabilizing waves that collapsed the colonies on the moons of Ember, have reached the station. He holds up a stubby finger. 2. According to the data the sleeper provided, these events are acting as a cover for some kind of intrusive protocol which is causing the real damage. Second finger joins the first. 3. The Shadow Protocol will do the very same thing it did to Ember's song, Step, and Hearth, and quickly. In short, it'll shut down everything, keeping this place alive. A third finger pops up. Also, isn't Ember's Hearth an Outer Wilds reference? And if so, the fact that they have erratic orbits is kind of a funny, would be a kind of a funny reference. Tim Curry would be disappointed. 4. This is my favorite. We have no idea who or what is doing this, and why. Soul's final finger joins the other string. That about the total of it all? Oh, don't forget the next Flux event that's surely coming. Of course there is. Soul smiles thinly. Sounds... Celine pauses, searching for words. Intimidating. Timber Hearth. Alright. That's right, it's Ember Twin. In Timber Hearth. I don't know. I'll call that intentional allusion to Outer Wilds. Because that does talk about them having erratic orbits. We're just gonna say how the Armistice Accords make any nation wants to participate in the Moon Treaty. I don't know. A lot of stuff, I would say, penned regarding the moon and asteroid ownership and anything like all those things sure is a lot of ink on a piece of paper, but we're not exactly at the technological capacity to be testing any of those things. So I feel like it's just a lot of hubbub and fluff. An attempt at future-proofing something that doesn't even... It's not even in the cards at all at the moment. Celine turns to Soul. Did you manage to put up any kind of resistance on Ember's Hearth? Soul shakes his head. That's why we are here. Pilgrim Seed was the biggest ship to make it out unscathed. He pauses. Suppose we didn't have this data. We didn't know what was eating up the systems. We all thought it was the flux. Celine looks at you. I imagine you, Sleeper, and whoever helped you uncover this, might be able to figure out a countermeasure? We can try. Celine nods approval. Okay, that's the start of it. If you'll forgive me, Soul cuts in. Part of why I was able to save as many as I could on Ember's Hearth is that I gave up hope early. Soul shifts his weight, his suit hissing. Oh, thank you for your boobs. There were endless strategy meets, system reboots, tests, and trials. I just got on with working on the Pilgrim Seed, with getting people on board. So when the second and third and the rest of the Flux events hit, we were ready to go. So if I can offer you some advice, Miss Not Havitage, is to give up on that line of thought you have, that hope, and start to look at the evacuation now. Right this cycle. Soul looks out of the observation deck towards the Pilgrim Seed. I've already started the process of converting the remaining volume of the Pilgrim Seed for human habitation. With Havanage's resources, I dare say we could finish the job with time to spare. Soul scratches his beard. I know it's hard. I know it's sudden. We have to give up hope. We have to run. There will be no heroes here. Just those who keep living, and those that don't. Celine listens in silence, making calculations. She looks out at the bulk of the Pilgrim Seed, which, despite all its vastness, is dwarfed by the eye as a whole. Something flickers in her eyes. She opens her mouth to speak. She stops, frozen. Let me think. Celine rubs her temple. I need a moment. Celine paces. As you watch, her, you realize how young she is, how lost she is in the systems and protocols she has to navigate. You can almost see the strings and ties that bind her, glinting like webs in the wide space of the observation platform. You can purge the Shadow Protocol. I actually have kept around an assassin AI. You know, I just need to loop them in and we can maybe take care of this. I mean, I'm half AI myself. I just kind of knife fight in cyberspace. I'm pretty good at that. Helene stops pacing. But with what resources? The data you sent me, this thing is a shadow. Uncontrollable. Untraceable. Perhaps with the full contingent of the Habited Systems Department, but that would require hundreds of work orders to be overlooked. Maintenance schedules abandoned. He looks away. Getting that through the council. That even be possible? It's almost like systems are not built to deal with serious crises and try to force them to fit their time schedules and precise processes, and that life and events doesn't give a shit about whatever framework you spring up. And if you're not, you know, dealing with it, then things actually get worse. And hemming and hawing and not taking a stance is actually even worse than actually trying to do anything at all. Something gridlock. You do it without them. I'll just YOLO cowboy this shit. Yeehaw! Impossible. Helene looks at the slate again. We'll take this to the council. Force them to listen. Force them to act. Both jump as someone loudly clears their throat nearby. Your eyes jump to the dark entryway that Helene emerged from just minutes ago. What a cozy little meeting this is. Man steps from the shadows, dressed in the same style of Habitant overalls as Helene. And I must say that it is some very incendiary rhetoric you are using, Counselor Helene. You glance at Helene and her face drops immediately. Kemp. He curses under her breath. Soul shifts his weight on his cane, but otherwise remains still, like a casual observer. Plotting against Havenedge with an interloper. He gestures at Soul. Everyone will be so disappointed. Kemp smiles a bright smile. Some of the counselors had such high hopes for our youngest member. His smile drops. I, of course, never let novelty distract from the importance of experience. Experience this fucking airlock, smugs fucker. Helene stares daggers at Kemp. Enough of this petty shit, Kemp. You need to see this. He holds out her slate with an outstretched arm. The games are over. No more point scoring, no more lobbying. You and your hardliners need to stop. This is something real. Kemp calmly takes the slate, prods the screen, scrolling through the flux data. Unfortunately, as a boomer, he is unable to understand technology and thinks he's just playing a bit of Candy Crush. His face betrays nothing, but you see some complex calculation flickering in his sharp eyes. He gestures. And out of the shadows, two Havenedge security officers appear. As they do, both you and Helene take a sharp breath in. They are carrying long, boxy guns. Never seen any like them on the eye. Gloss XPR logos glint along their barrels. These are Ash's weapons, confiscated by Havenedge, and the smuggling operation gone wrong, and now put to use. Kemp holds up the slate. One of the officers takes it, slips it into a pocket on his vest. He smiles at Helene, then follows her eyes to where they're fixed on the matte black barrels of the officers' weapons. The weapons we confiscated from the spacers. Helene looks at you. And your friends. She narrows her eyes at Kemp. You can't do this. You can't use them. Kemp shrugs. You've just handed me evidence that this flotilla has infected this station with a virus. The shadow protocol that threatens the life of every Harvenage member. Every person on the eye. He gives Helene a dark look. This is not the time for half measures. Helene steps forward without thinking, and immediately the officers raise their guns. Be very careful here, Helene. I don't think escalating this situation will play in your favor. Kemp sighs. You are in the wrong here. Plotting against the council, hoarding data vital to our work. It's all so obvious. You couldn't win power by Harvenage systems, by our laws, so you resort to this. Kemp shakes his head. The law is with me. It's as simple as that. So now you need to come with me. Soul shoots you a purposeful glance. Now is the only moment you'll have. Joke's on you, fucker. I'm a robot. Run it, Kemp. You rush at Kemp, but as you do, Soul twists one of his arms, snapping something on his suit. A burst of pressurized gas jets out, clouding the room in a choking cloud. Don't use cloud twice, come on! Somehow, in the gray, your shoulder finds Kemp. He tumbles backwards, pulling you with him. And something crackles blue through the gray, like lightning inside a cloud. The weapons. The fear takes over. You stumble to your feet, running from that terrible cracking sound as it whips through the glass. You stumble into another body in the haze, and both of you tumble through a doorway. It's Soul. You stumble and limp together, mindlessly through corridor after corridor, until that crackling sound is no longer echoing in your ears. You catch your breath together, Soul wrenching his suit back into shape and leaning heavily on his cane. I assume that wasn't part of the plan. Full coughs. Certainly gave some life to the proceedings, though. Are you okay? Full pats at his suit, his hand trembling. It's okay as usual. He straightens up. To be honest with you, Sleeper, none of this changes anything for me. The Pilgrim Seed will be going in a handful of cycles, whether Harvenage wants it or not. How many can you take? Solma grimaces. I don't know right now. Depends on how work goes, on who wants to come. People won't want to leave their homes, Sleeper, even when death is bearing down on them. I know that all too well. Cole puts his hand on your shoulder. There's a berth for you. For any you can gather, Sleeper. That much I owe you. Thank you. Cole nods. Cole glances back down the corridor. Now, I think we better clear out. Not sure those officers won't come looking. My crew will meet me at the edge of the cordon. Well, I'm good from here. Cole leans on his cane. Oh, and thank you, Sleeper, for sending the data. I appreciate the extra info, and I'll see if it can be used. Help us, see if it can. I know how to work, and I know how to talk and say words and things and words and stuff. I appreciate the extra info. I'll see if it can help us shore up the Pilgrim Seed against any future flux events. We'll be leaving as soon as we are able. Want to help us get there faster? Well, you'd be welcome. He meets your eye. Get you back on Ember's hearth. He pauses, suddenly losing his appetite for discussing the past. Well, he smiles. Just don't keep me waiting. And he limps off, down the corridor, towards the edge of the cordon. You pause for a moment. Let your thoughts catch up. Peak will want to hear about all this. They should be your first port of call. I'm gonna be honest. Pretty much every single time they keep talking about this cordon, I have to hold myself back from calling it a cordon bleu, and it makes me more and more hungry every time they say cordon, because that's all I can think of is a cordon bleu. It's actually been a very long time since I had a cordon bleu. Now I'm guessing the Pilgrim Seed is gonna get all ready to go, and then the fascist chucklefuck McGee's with the guns are gonna be like, well, we're gonna take your ship because we got all the guns, and this is your fault. Anyway, spacing, I'm gonna space them all. Space all the fuckers. Okay. Let's talk to Peak. As you enter the climbing briar, immediately have to jump aside, as Ash is lugging a massive crate across the cargo bay. Pushes past you. Girls take an apology as she does. Reminds me of when we met. Ash sniffs and doesn't look back. Okay. As you turn back to the bay, Peak pushes past too. Sorry, Sleeper. Just a second. Peak rushes to catch up with Ash. Put that down. Please, Ash. But she doesn't respond to their urging. Can't leave. Not yet. Peak puts a hand on her shoulder. Please. I'm the only one here who can... Crate drops. Sound of its impact echoing around the bay like thunder. Do what, Peak? Her eyes are burning with anger. Save this place? Are you still that naive? We are running, Peak. We are running because that thing cannot be stopped. It could be stopped at XPR or home. Why would we stay to stop it here? Because we can. Ash, give these people a chance. Peak pleads with her. They gave the refugees a chance? Ash shakes her head. No, Peak. This is not on us. We barely made it out of XPR. I worked for years to escape, and now you want to throw it all away? I left everything behind. My mother, my friends, take you out of that place. She clenches her jaw. She turns and slams her hand onto the crate, breathing hard. We go. That's the end of it. Peak turns away. Feel unsure what to do. But you know, now is not the time for outside arguments. This is between them. Peak crosses the bay back towards you. I'm sorry you had to see that, Sleeper. They sigh. Let's walk upstairs. Peak leads you to the entry ladder, taking you up to the out of the bay and into the habitation level of the ship. You follow them through tight corridors, noticing the handwritten notes, the clutter, the repairs, the signs of a home. Here, sit. Peak gestures to the broad mess table with its curved couches, and you slide in on one end. Peak sits opposite. They brush their hair out of their eyes and take a deep breath. So, how did it go? What did they say? I've been waiting all cycle. Tell them about Kemp. Peak looks increasingly troubled as you tell them about the hardline Counselor Kemp's sudden appearance, about the XPR embossed guns and the resulting chaos. You admit you don't know what happened to Helene. Peak is silent for a moment. Those are Ash's guns, right? The ones she smuggled out of XPR on the ship? The ones she didn't tell us about? Peak looks desperate. Yes. Peak's head droops. Ash. Peak whispers to themselves. Peak takes a deep breath. We can't be sure that Helene can help us at all. If Kemp has taken her, or if the council looks on your meeting darkly, Peak nods softly. And this is on us? What's on us? Ash is standing quietly in the doorway, listening. You don't know how long she has been there for. Peak looks up at her with tired eyes. Sleeper found the weapons you smuggled from XPR. Ash freezes. She glances between you and Peak, as if this might be some elaborate joke. Haven't used them? Ash moves out of the doorway and enters the room. What happened? Peak interrupts. The hardliners within Habited Council used them, Ash, against their own members. Ash shakes her head. Good. Anyone in that corrupt mess deserves what's coming to them. She grimaces. They should never have laid their hands on those weapons. If I'd have known... Peak goes to speed and decides not to take the bait. They glance at you, I'm sure you've heard enough of us arguing this cycle, Sleeper. Peek shoots a look at Esh. But our introduction of those weapons into the equation is just another reason why we cannot simply run away. Esh looks away and says nothing. He surely knows they cannot absolve themselves of responsibility here, but what is motivating her? Realize that he still might be trying to protect Peek, even from himself. I'm wondering if we didn't fuck up the planning, if instead the weapons would be seized by some people on the refugees. Like, I'm wondering how the hardliners would still get the weapons unless, like, even with successful planning, Esh still gets captured. I also fucked up. Yeah. Problem is I triggered the event when I had a lot of other very big stuff taking up my dice rolls, and I completely forgot about the planning part of it and focused on just getting all the supplies. Suddenly, a shrill beeping fills the room, and Peek pulls out their slate to silence it. But as they do, they freeze, their finger hovering above the screen, the beeping continuing its insistent pulse. I'm guessing Kemp is declaring martial law of some flavor. Peek doesn't seem to hear you. They blink with glazed eyes at the slate. Then they let out a long exhale and tap the screen. The bleeping shuts off, leaving a ringing silence behind. Esh frowns at Peek. Planning to explain? 12 cycles. Peek looks vacantly up at you, both. 12 cycles, until the next flux event. They shake their head. They've been using the arrays on the Briar to look towards the center of the system, to look approximately where the con channel should be. Just this moment, they detected a signal from the inner system. Welcome back, Cole. Given the distance and pattern of previous flux events, we have 12 cycles before it reaches the eye. The silence in the room is deafening. 12 cycles. That's it. Before a second wave hits this place. Peek interrupts your thoughts. You start now. That's the end of it. Peek stands up to face Esh. You want to take the Briar and run, Esh? That's on you. But I won't do it. You take a deep breath. I'll be here, Sleeper. For every cycle it takes, trying to find a solution. I'll need your help. Your eyes meet yours. You see a wild desperation flickering there. You'll find something. The sooner we have a plan, the better. It takes us 12 cycles to fix this thing. It'll be too late. Peek's eyes flash with determination. They reach for a slate, pass it to you. So we can keep in touch. You pocket the thin, handheld terminal. And Ash, Peek starts. But she is gone, storming down the corridors of the ship, on a path to who knows where. You know from experience that it is impossible to outrun your fears. But you get a sense that Esh will try anyway. Peek rubs their red eyes, staring after Esh. Maybe I'll take a moment before we start. They smile weakly, tears of exhaustion gathering in their eyes. Be back here soon, okay? And you slip from the room into the corridor. Peek's quiet sobs somehow carrying through the ship behind you as you leave. Oof. Okay, so we got that. Terminal flux. Add. Sucks that we're starting in disadvantage because I used one die today before triggering that. Okay, we can at least get this phase. Peek beckons you over with the wide mess table. They've set up a terminal. The hours of bleary-eyed work have left you both drained, and Peak looks ready to collapse. You slide into the curved couch beside them, something dark and malevolent filling their screen like an oil stain. Shadow protocol. Not quite. Peak's eyes seem to glitter in the screen light. This isn't what you think, Sleeper. Not by a long shot. You look again at the screen. Bending in close to the dark, curved shape to see its texture, you see whirls and currents like a river. Dark flow, unlike the Shadow Protocol's dark tangle. You know exactly what this is. You have swum in this river, almost drowned in its shifting flow. The Gardener's Chorus. Dark cloud which blankets the Greenway's networks. The bioorganic mass of a malfunctioning protocol, grown vast and strange. Gardener. Peak glances at you. How do you... They pause. Have you met them? I have. Peak shakes their head. Incredible. Perhaps you won't be surprised by what I am about to propose. Peak meets your eye. Everything I have tried to do to contain the Shadow Protocol has been a failure. It slips through any containment, absorbs any countermeasure. That, unfortunately, is an unavoidable fact. And yet, the eye still spins. Shadow Protocol is being slowed, harshly contained. It's spread across the station, as we have seen, but in reduced pockets and fragments. I started to look outside of our test cases. Outside these fragments, we have been poking and prodding in our little lab. Peak smiles, and look what I found. Peak taps a key on their terminal. You realize the screen is showing a recording of the data flow inside the eye's networks, sampled from hundreds of points around the Greenway. You watch as a subtle shift occurs at the edge of the flowing dark curve that blankets the Greenway. Something spreading like an ink stain. Somehow darker than black, it bleeds across the Shadow Protocol. Now watch. Peak eagerly points at the screen. You see something strange. A fizzing at the edge of the shadow, a sparking, and then it's gone. And beneath, for a moment, a millisecond, you see into the networks of the Greenway. You're reminded of an image you had forgotten, of pulling a plant from its pot, seeing a bone, light root ball, where you expected to see dark soil. The white connections that writhe like worms. And then it is gone, the dark flow closing up as quickly as it opened. Dissolve the shadow. Exactly, Peak nods. Protected itself. You think back to your meeting with the gardener, that sense of something old and world, and inhuman to its core. Peak excitedly starts to explain. This is the only chance we have, the only countermeasure we have seen. The moment it opened, I detected something, a centralized intelligence with a local ID. Gardener, this protocol, this system, whatever it is, it can protect its network from the Shadow Protocol. If it stays in the Greenway, the eye will still fall. The station's systems are too exposed, too spread across the hub, the shipyards, the spokes. Peak glances away. The only way is to break it open, to spread the entity's network access. To spread the entity's network access it. Okay, that's bad phrasing. Expand it somehow. Peak pauses. I've been inside there, Peak. Peak pauses, trying to read your expression. And this gardener, can they help us? The EPS of citizens? Jaybird and the best bartending burb anyone may perceive. I hope you're having a good day. You try to remember what that strange being said to you, but all you remember is the feeling of dissolving into that network. The heady mix of growth and decay, the ceaselessness of it. Would they protect the station? Would they simply dissolve it? They might. I'm good. Powering through after getting home at 4 a.m. Hey! I hope it was a hell of a good concert. I mean, if you're up at 4 a.m., it had to have been a banger of some kind. Very metal? Nice! Very nice. Peak stands up and walks away a little. They lean against the countertop, their head hanging so low that their long hair touches the work surface. You hear them breathing deeply. I don't know, Sleeper. They lift their head. I really don't know. It's a chance. Maybe. They shake their head. You know as well as Peak that this is it. You know it because over the past cycles, you have run every simulation, every possibility you could think of, and still come up with nothing. You have stared a hole into your screen and dreamt of that black shadow creeping in at the edges of your vision. Peak recognizes the look in your eyes, the potent cocktail of resignation and anger. Let's say we do this, Peak begins, eyeing you carefully. What do we need? They begin to answer their own question, thinking out loud. Suppose we'd need two things. Find a way to limit or control the gardener's spread, and then reconnect the greenway. Peak starts pacing. The idea is coming quickly now. Controlling the spread means repairing the station. Limit the gardener's network to key systems. We don't want it taking everything, we just need it to protect the station's core functionality. Then we need to reconnect the greenway. Hook it back to the main line of the network. Those systems we prepared, it should connect. Gardener will spread along the path we prepared. At least, my theory. Peak grimaces. If we don't prepare correctly, the gardener might not spread. Or might spread to everything. Peak closes their eyes. And after that, things might get worse. Can't be worse than a total collapse. Don't say it, sleeper. Peak sits back at the terminal and brings up a map of the eye. Rotational control at the hub. Life support at the free spoke. Power routing at the inhabited shipyards. They stab at the map with each one, marking them in red. Then there's the central core. As I understand it, somewhere on the rim. I'd need to find it. They push their hair out of their face. We see the gardener in all these places. Peak pauses. But how are we going to do that? Transplant the greenway. Peak smiles. Of course. Gardener needs plants to care for. That's what their protocol dictates. Must have been part of the farming management system of the Eye, back when Solheim built it. You see greenway plants, those systems, Gardener will seek them out. Protect them. Peak stares at the map of the Eye. It's a wild idea, but it could work. But you'll need a way into those systems. Habitage have most of them locked down for safety purposes. We can't just walk in. I know a guy. Peak raises an eyebrow. Someone in the Habitage systems team? You nod. After everything he dragged you through, you feel like Fang still owes you. Time to pay him a visit. Okay, well, I guess we should pay him a visit. Lead the way. You both leave the ship, carried forward by the excitement of your plan and an eagerness to not look at the details too closely. You push any lingering questions to the back of your mind. Time to head to Fang's Bay.